you. Okay, you're live.
Good evening and welcome to the Scottsdale Historic Preservation Commission remote public meeting. The purpose of the Historic Preservation Commission, in part, is to establish standards necessary to preserve the historic character of resources designated historic, develop, maintain, and from time to time amend plans for the preservation of resources of historic significance in the city, and review proposed alterations to historic and archaeological resources through the Certificate of Appropriateness process. Until further notice, meetings will be held electronically and remotely. While physical facilities are not open to the public, meetings are televised on Scottsdale's YouTube and streamed online at scottsdaleaz.gov, search live stream, to allow the public to listen, view the meeting in progress. Only written comments submitted electronically are being accepted. To be considered, please submit your written public comment on an agenda item at least 90 minutes before the meeting's scheduled time. The agenda consists of the roll call, administrative report, minutes approval of the prior meeting, regular agenda, non-action items. No vote will be made by the commission on the non-action items. I remind our audience that the review relates to historic preservation matters and does not include consideration of existing zoning district designations, zoning entitlements, or the allowed uses within the zoning districts. The commission's motion may be to approve with modified stipulations, to deny the request, or to continue the case. Thank you for your interest and time. Now we will begin the meeting with the roll call.
Chair Schweiger, absent. Vice Chair Davis.
Present.
Commissioner Brousseau. Commissioner Brousseau. Commissioner Edmonds.
Present.
Commissioner Brousseau. Commissioner Fedok.
Present.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Present.
Commissioner Kinchin, absent. Commissioner Brousseau. Commissioner Brousseau, we're having trouble hearing you. There we go.
How's that? How are we doing there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yay. Hi, present.
Thank you. Thank you. Roll call's done.
The first action of the commission will be the administrative report by Doris McClay.
Vice Chair and Commission members wanted to provide the Commission an update on a case that was previously presented to the Commission in November of last year, the Djordjevovic residence. The request was for an addition to an existing home and included elements that the Commission had concerns. The Commission voted to continue the project. The applicant decided to submit a separate request for a detached structure versus the proposed addition. The detached structure met the HP guidelines and was approved administratively. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. The next action of the commission will be the approval of the meeting minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes by any of the commission members? Commissioner Hosmer.
I'll make a motion to approve the Thursday, March 4th, 2021 meeting minutes.
I'll second that motion. So the motion carries and the minutes are finalized.
We need to do a roll call, please.
Oh, sorry.
Vice Chair Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Brousseau.
Present.
Commissioner Edmonds.
Aye.
Commissioner Fedok.
Aye.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up is regular agenda item 36-HP-2021 Burns Silver renovation project.
Thank you, Vice Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jeff Barnes with the city's Planning Department, presenting 36 HP 2021. Next slide, please. This site is located in the middle of the Town and Country Scottsdale subdivision, just generally east of Scottsdale Road, south of Oak, for context. Next slide, please. This brings you in a little bit closer. This particular lot sits just before the cul-de-sac at the end of Cypress Street on the south side. Next slide, please. So this area carries the single-family residential R17 zoning designation with the historic preservation overlay. Next slide, please. This image is included just as sort of a context to help give you a visual to support some of the following slides. So I wanted to put it up here in the front. You can see there's an existing courtyard wall to this home, and there's some existing vinyl siding that's evident in that proposal that is part, or in that photo, excuse me, that's part of the removal scope of the proposal that I'll get into detail on as follows. Next slide, please. So the request before you tonight is twofold. Part is a request for approval of a certificate of appropriateness for the scope of the work to the home, to the exterior portions, which includes taking off some of that vinyl siding and replacing windows and adding some new, and I'll get into those details. The other component of it is relative to HRER funding request to go along with that. Next slide, please. Takes us to the site plan. There's no new site work proposed, but this gives you a little bit of context to what's out there. Site's laid out with the driveway coming up the east side of the property. There's that curved courtyard wall out front, and then the house sits as shown. Next slide, please. Gets us into the elevation details. So as was sort of shown in that photo, but is detailed out a little better here in these elevations. The current configuration of the property, previous owner had closed in the patio port component of the building, and it's currently finished with this horizontally oriented vinyl siding that carries around to the front of the house, as seen in the lower portion of the image here, between the window areas and along that elevation, also into the entry area. Next slide, please. So this slide covers more of the proposed condition, which would be removing that up along the front elevation. The proposal would be replacing existing windows, but also adding new windows in the currently blocked out sort of northeast portion of the elevation, changing out the northwest from that horizontally oriented siding to more contextually appropriate vertically oriented board and batten, and then coming around to the east side of the building, continuing with vertically oriented hardy board, and then a row of windows keeping with the front elevations styling, bringing that around the east side elevation. Next slide just kind of color codes some of those changes, but I think we sort of covered enough of those that we can skip on to the next slide, which highlights those window details a little better without the the rest of the elevation context to it, just showing the continuation of that alignment that is key in the character of these homes. Next slide, please. From an exterior color standpoint, the owner's proposing primarily use the Babbling Brook color shown on the left side as the primary on the upper portion, with the denim and outgoing orange as accent detailing on the lower portion of the building. That next slide wraps up the staff presentation. The applicant is on the line. They've got a presentation that gets into some greater detail, so shows some greater detail on photos of that, and they're ready, I believe, to present.
So did you just unmute me? I had been speaking. Hello?
Yes, you were just unmuted.
Okay, great. I'll start again. I'm sorry. So my name's Shauna Burnsilver. I'm here with my husband, Glenn.
Hello.
And
our dogs.
a barking dog, which I apologize for. Okay, so we thought we'd start with just a summary slide that goes through the components that were asked, that we intend. The first is there's 7 points really. The first is to replace the original 4 clerestory windows with new windows in the same dimensions. The second is to return to the original board and batten in the front of the house. The third is to add new windows in the entry above the current front door. The fourth is to add 4 new windows to the left side, which, as Jeff mentioned, continue the sight lines with the original windows. The fifth is to add a horizontal pane of windows on the east wall that are high. And the sixth is to replace all the vinyl siding, which is definitely not in keeping with the Haver aesthetic, with something much more contemporary, and that's hardy board. So the previous photos we realized had a vertical line within those pictures, and we actually are proposing to do just a smooth hardy board finish. And then finally, we intend to paint. The reasons for doing so are mostly to get rid of the current vinyl siding, which, as I said, was really not in keeping with the Haver aesthetic, with something that's much more contemporary. To replace the original windows with more efficient windows and fix the damage to the windowsills. And then actually add additional light to the east front room, again, in a style that's in keeping with the Haver architecture. So next slide, please. So this is the current. Thank you, Jeff, for the original pictures that you had. I didn't realize that you'd have some, but this is what it looks like. The front facing, and then the east side. Next slide. And then we thought we'd just fast forward. This is what we were proposing as far as what it would look like finally with the proposed color scheme. So you can see in the front, there's the return to the original board and batten on the right-hand side, and then the color scheme that we're proposing. So next slide. So these pictures provide some indication of some of the damage that's there already. There's damage to the vinyl siding on the understory of the roof. So we would replace that as well. And it shows in the red, it shows the 4 windows that we're speaking of here. So next slide. This is the area of the house that has the vinyl siding on the front, and the intention is to return to the original board and batten. Next slide. The third, this is just a highlight of what the entryway looks like right now. And we're intending to put windows that are on the same sight line above the existing front door. And that's highlighted in the red, what that would look like with a new picture on the bottom. And we're going to have a new gate made that's in keeping with the original gate that was here. So fourth, next slide. The intention is to add new windows on the left side, front facing, and you can see those 4 new windows. And then, so there's some significant damage to the existing vinyl siding, besides the fact that it's just terrible and ugly, and definitely I'm not even sure, it's 1980s, I believe is when this was done. But that you can see a close-up of the picture of what it would look like when it's done. Next slide. And then, so sorry, go back one. And then this is on the east wall. You can see the 2 windows that are there currently. That again has the vinyl siding that goes back to the brick. And we're proposing to put in the 9 new windows that are horizontal up high. And then we'll have the hardy board down below, which again will be a smooth finish. And that siding is also damaged. So next slide. And then finally, we just wanted to emphasize that wherever the vinyl siding is currently, that would be replaced. There's also vinyl siding to the left and right of top to bottom of the entryway, and that would be replaced. And then there's vinyl siding underneath the roof the eaves that will be replaced as well. That will be removed. And so
in removing that vinyl siding, the original eaves will then be exposed again to match up with other houses in the neighborhood.
So next slide. And then again, just to show that what the proposed paint looks like, I wasn't able to match exactly what the colors are in PowerPoint, but this gives you a sense for at least what the progression would be. So gray on the top, and then blue on the brick, and then a burnt orange stripe. And this idea came out of a Sunset magazine, actually, for a mid-century modern home elsewhere in Arizona. That's where we got the idea from. So next slide. We've also thought about getting a little bit more outside the box as far as shapes that might be shown on the east side, but we're not sure if that would fly and if we have the license to do that kind of creativity. This comes from a suggestion by the architect. So the architecture for the house, all of the work is done by another neighbor who lives in the Town and Country neighborhood himself. We have a lot of architects who live in the neighborhood itself, and he helped us do the plans. So that's the materials that we presented. Next slide. And happy to take any and all questions. Thanks very much.
Commissioner Broussard.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Ben Brousseau. How you guys doing? It's Ben Brousseau. I wanted to just thank you. This is like so incredible what you guys have put together here. I know the house, and I know those beautiful cactuses in the front are just, did you guys plant those?
We did not. The previous owner spent about $30,000 on the landscaping for the house.
It's so cool, and it's starting to fill in, and it's starting to take its own shape and form. And I mean, how great to have that to pick from. You can do whatever you want with it, but I mean, it's just so incredible to see how far it's gone. So congrats on all this great work. I just want to say about the color scheme, I love it. It's totally original, and it's you're helping to further establish Scottsdale's own color palette. When it comes to mid-century, people try to do the Palm Springs thing, and that's just not us. And right. So I love to see these different colors being taken out. And so is it more like a navy?
It's more like a steel blue is
Steel
what I would
blue.
describe it as. PowerPoint just didn't match very well, but I would describe it as a steel blue.
Very nice. Very, very nice, you guys.
Thank you.
I love all of it. I think it's like so thoughtful, everything that you're doing. And it's just like, it all looks like it's just all really works. I just have the only issue that I have are windows, adding windows. That's my only, I mean, I know it would open up that house and it would look so nice. It almost works, but it's not, if you really want to keep it authentic, I think you can still get the same effect once you open all those other windows up. You might not even need that to go into the original side of the house, but I would understand, why you would want to do it. I'm sure it would be nice to open it all up, but I just wonder what it's going to look like. I mean, you've just done so much perfect here that's like in tune with the whole program. Is there a way to do it in like phases? Do phase 1 without the windows? Let's get the house all under, like within our parameters, get it, looking real gussied up. And then maybe in a year, I don't know, maybe talk about the windows then. I don't know. That's just where I'm at. We're losing so much of our integrity in this town, and it's happening so quickly. We're going to start chipping away at little parts of this, of these other neighborhoods, and you don't even know you're doing it. I would strongly encourage maybe doing that in the second phase, but everything else, incredible. I love it. Thank you.
Well,
Do you want us to respond to each one, or should we?
Absolutely. You don't have to if you don't want to. I know we know we're in a time crunch. I just wanted to, just assert my opinion on the windows. I'm not even looking for responses to this stuff. Just more than anything, it's just very refreshing. I love it. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Good evening, Sean and Glenn. I think you guys are doing a terrific job, and I'm thrilled that you guys are embracing the historic character. Had a couple of questions. On the front elevation, the niche that has the entry to the house.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an east wall and a west wall of your entry approach. Do you know what the original siding material was?
We think it was brick on the
West side.
Opposite the carport side.
Yeah,
Right, exactly. Some of it was brick, and there was also the original giant window that would have been here in the patio court.
Okay.
So that would have been filled in to create the wall that now holds the vinyl siding.
It's too bad that the carport, the patio port isn't still there, but certainly when you buy a house and you get used to the square footage, why would you give that up?
Unfortunately, we're already non-conforming.
Yeah. So I'm particularly in favor of the windows and how you've done those. I think having the clear story that washes the ceiling with light is a terrific architectural feature that I support totally. I wanted to ask you if you're doing, because you're looking for HRER support, financial support, is this going to be dual pane glass?
Yes,
Okay.
as efficient as we can possibly make it.
Okay. I was a little confused on the one colored elevation that was represented by Jeff Barnes. It didn't make sense, and it didn't show the clear story on the east carport where the carport was. And if that's immaterial, we don't need to go there. It didn't make sense to me to what you were proposing.
Do you mean the windows that run along the east wall?
I think the colored, if I remember correctly, I don't have that hard copy in front of me right now, but it showed the absence of those windows. But then you guys wanted to add the clear story there, and I like the clear story.
So currently there are 2 windows there that are,
I saw.
they're just plastic, terribly inefficient and visually not great.
And what you've shown, with a clear shore across here is a great improvement. I'm not in favor of the hardy board. And of course, there's a lot of different types of hardy boards. So I wanted to ask you what type of hardy board, what profile you're looking for, because you can buy it in all kinds of various fenestrations or textures and shapes and horizontal versus vertical. It looks like you're trying to do something vertical.
So our intention was, so when we played with this visually, and so the original form was vertical, but we settled on just a smooth profile. But we're not essentially married to any particular profile. If there are suggestions as far as what would be more in keeping with the architecture, we talked about metal. I mean, it seemed too hot, and hardy board seems quite efficient, and so that's what we went with.
Is there a way to bring up one of your exhibits that shows that portion of the wall? I think maybe in the photo.
Can you go back 2-3 slides?
Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Well, one of the thoughts that I had, I love the stack bond masonry, and for me, it's where materials meet that always get me.
Yes.
I think what you're showing on the east is clumsy. I like the stack bond block, and it would be nice if that turned a corner and went back and met, but not in the same plane as the brick wall. But I think you might be able to work something out where you don't have to do the stack bond block. But I think having the stack bond block project beyond the hardy board, so that it doesn't, because how are you going to finish that corner? You've got to have an edge. You're either going to have stack bond showing at the eastern edge, 8 inches wide.
Yes, that is what's there right now.
Okay, you're going to have it project a little past.
It would come up flush against it. So it projects past, and then I don't have the right words to describe it.
What I'm trying to say is, when you have your brick, which is at the east wall towards the back of your property, and it aligns with,
I see.
And where it aligns with the stack on block, and you infill that with hardy board, it's poor detailing.
Yeah, I get it.
And I would like, I'm not going to mandate this. I'm just saying architecturally, I would have that hardy board or whatever material recess slightly, even if it's only 1 inch or 2 inches, give you a shadow line.
Okay.
So, because it looks like that somebody said, I can't afford to do the stack bond block, so I'm using this cement board.
So we actually have gone back and forth about the stack line block. That was our original choice, was to do the stack line block. And so our builder was suggesting that it structurally it gets a little bit more difficult, but I mean it's a lot more money. But I mean we both really like the idea of the block. So yeah, I'll just say that. Okay, well, again, I'm not going to mandate what happens with that. I think the fact that you enhance this by putting those windows back and give it this nice aesthetic, and you're doing a nice job. I don't want to deflate the balloon. I would just do something with the hardy board below that window band. I would try to find a way to where it didn't look like it was I'm trying to think of the word. I don't want to say a poor man's version, but it just make it look a little bit more purposeful. Like you really wanted that material, and that's why you put it there, not like this was a discounted material, it was handy at Home Depot, and I don't have to do a footing kind of thing. The idea for the hardy board actually came from friends of ours who used it as a design element. And so the last panel that we showed with the interesting color, they actually used the hardy board to implement some design elements on one wall of their house. And that's where the idea came from.
Yeah, so sometimes, you know, if you want to express that material, you can project it or recess it just a little bit so it looks more intentional. Like you want people to look at it and this is what it was. So I would pay attention to the intersections, the corners.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have an architect working with you, see if you guys can come up with something interesting to make those intersections look more intentional.
Okay.
I mean, other than that, you know, you're going to do the dual panes and you're going to be matching the width of the vertical mullions on all the windows all the way around, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. I'm not wild about the color scheme, but it's not my, I'm not going to vote against it because of that. And maybe it looks a little bright because of the, like you said, the colors on the format that you used. Maybe it'll be a little bit subtler, but I want to congratulate you guys on taking the effort to get behind the historic district and have some fun with it.
We really love this house.
Well, good. Well, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brousseau, do you have additional comments?
Yeah, I just had one more question that I had to ask here. So guys, what was the original color of the house?
This is the original, I don't know, but this is what we've lived with since we moved in.
Gotcha. And then what would I guess I didn't see that original photo that you said that there was a photo of the house when it was brand new. I'm just curious if what they had used. Was it just exposed brick or what was on the side there?
I'm not sure, honestly. We don't have the original pictures.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I definitely think your guys' house is like conforming at least to a certain extent. I mean, it wouldn't be a non-conforming house. I mean, you guys are doing some really amazing things to this. Is it not a conforming house?
Well, we were told that our landscape is non-conforming.
Oh,
and,
I mean,
because it's a little wild, and because it's the carport was built in. You know, it's not conforming in that sense.
We did petition.
I see.
We did petition on that in relation to the tax break that you get for historic. And then they looked at it again and said, based on other houses that in the neighborhood that are considered conforming and are, I don't know the right way to say it, much worse in terms of additions and changes, they said you are definitely conforming because we still have the same sight lines and it's still smooth. So it is considered conforming now. It's just, I guess it's not stock, you might say.
Not the original.
Well, that carport structure was pretty simple. I don't think it would be impossible to rebuild that if you went for it. I mean, I'm sure you could find, blueprint. The original ones were pretty cool, but there wasn't necessarily roof line. It was like a cage of a roof, right? Wasn't it?
Oh yeah. The house right next to us is just like that still.
That's so interesting.
Many in the neighborhood. It's great.
Well, I think that navy blue or that steel blue color is just, I love it. I think it's so cool. And orange is so awesome. It's really going to be interesting to see you guys do this. Are you documenting this or putting it on film or doing, covering this whole process?
Yeah, we will for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to help you with that. So I'll get in touch with you. I'd love to do a little video, follow you guys along this process. It's very cool.
Oh, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. That would be really fun. Okay. Thank you.
This is Vice Chair Davis. Are there any other questions or comments? Commissioner Brousseau, did you mean to raise your hand or did you just not?
Sorry about that. I just forgot to lower.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
Alrighty. Seeing no other comments, I will entertain a motion. Commissioner Hosmer. Commissioner Hosmer, we can't hear you.
Sounded good to me. Sorry, I didn't push the button. Anyway, I make a motion to approve the request for the approval of certificate of appropriateness for HP 36 HP 2021 for the exterior modifications.
Commissioner Fedock,
I second the motion.
now we'll do a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Brousseau,
I mean, yes, okay, yes.
Commissioner,
Sorry, yeah.
Commissioner Edmonds,
Yes.
Commissioner Fedock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
We need to do the
Now,
HRER.
Yes, that's what I was just getting ready to do. This is Vice Chair Davis. I'll entertain a motion for the HRER funds. Commissioner Fedock, Commissioner Fedock, we can't hear you. Commissioner Hosmer,
Yes, I just wanted to see if anybody on the commission wanted to have a little discussion about the HRER relative to the nonconformance of the carport portion of it, whether that justified the full benefit or whether that should be tapered to accommodate what is conforming or not. Just offering it up as a discussion.
thank you, Commissioner Hosmer. Anyone else have any comments on that? Commissioner Bersall?
Hi, it's Commissioner Brousseau. Just wanted to, go back to the true authentic, bringing it back as close as possible to, if we're going to get it there and put money towards it, it should be for, maintaining the historic nature of the structure. So again, I mean, I'm all for it. I think we should definitely put the money, towards this home, but I would like to see it put toward keeping it original, or as original as possible. And then, figuring out a way to build that roof structure. If that's on there, would that be on your list, guys? Ultimately, is that something you would want to do to the home?
The carport?
Yeah,
Yeah, we are talking about doing that.
yeah, totally. I mean, it would be like a no-brainer if you could do just a basic. Okay, cool. Great. Well, I mean, I'm all for it. Let's just keep things as original as possible. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Commissioner Hosmer?
I guess with that being the end of the discussion, then I'll make a motion to approve the historic residential exterior rehabilitation funds for case number 36 HP 2021.
Commissioner Bersall?
I'd like to second that motion.
Roll call vote?
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Brousseau,
Yes.
Commissioner Edmonds,
Yes.
Commissioner Fedock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to regular agenda item 41-HP-2021, Piven House Edition.
Good evening, Vice Chair, Commissioners. My name is Katie Posler, and I am here to present case 41 HP 2021, which is the Piven House Edition. Next, please. The subject property is located at the southeast corner of East Oak Street and North 72nd Place. It is a part of the Town and Country Historic District, like the last case we just saw. This one is just a bit further northwest. And that district is east of Scottsdale Road and south of Oak Street. To the east, south, and west is the rest of the Town and Country subdivision, and to the north is the Scottsdale Estates 4 subdivision. Next. Here's a closer look at the property and intersection. This is a corner lot and has frontage on East Oak Street to the north and 72nd Place to the west. Next, please. The zoning on this site is R17 HP, or Single Family Residential District with Historic Property Overlay. The site was annexed into the city in 1965 with the single family zoning, and the Historic Property Overlay was approved in 2005 by City Council. Next, please. Here are some photos of the existing residence. It was constructed in 1953. The front is split between white board and batten wood siding on the upper half and red clinker brick on the lower half. The sides and rear of the building are composed of gray concrete brick, which matches the existing site wall. Next, please. The request in front of you this evening is for approval of our certificate of appropriateness, historic preservation, to build an attached addition in the rear of a property with single family residential historic property zoning. Next, please. Here's the applicant's proposed site plan. The applicant is proposing a 400 square foot rear yard addition, which is attached to the main residence. The addition includes a master bedroom and covered patio and complies with the R17 setbacks. Next, please. Here are the proposed elevations. The addition is 1 story and follows the existing roof slope, which aligns with the historic preservation guidelines. The addition is composed of board and batten wood siding, which is a common material in these districts, but I believe the applicant also is thinking about hardy board as a backup material. Next, please. Here's the proposed rendering. While the applicant is using a different material than from the rest of the building, they are proposing to keep the same gray and white color scheme. And then here you can also see the windows, which are proposed to be energy efficient, double pane insulated glass. Next, please. The rear yard addition will not be visible from East Oak Street to the front or to the north, but it may be visible from the side street north 72nd Place. There's an existing 6-foot tall screen wall along North 72nd Place that will help screen the building expansion. Next, please. Staff recommends that the Historic Preservation Commission approve the request for a certificate of appropriateness, historic preservation per the attached stipulations, finding that the provisions of the Historic Preservation Plan for Town and Country Scottsdale have been met. Next, please. That concludes staff's presentation, but the applicant is also here to present and provide more information. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jeff Clancy. I am the architect that worked on this project on behalf of Jeff and Emily, the owners of the house. I also live in the Town and Country neighborhood. In fact, I'm the architect that was also working with Glenn and Sean on the last project we looked at. So I do feel heavily invested in the neighborhood and definitely don't want to do anything that's not in keeping with the historic character. That said, Katie covered all this pretty well. Here's the house from the 1950s, just for fun. Can we go to the next slide, please? So northwest corner, as Katie mentioned, we can go to the next one. And like Katie said, that 400 square foot proposed addition is in the rear yard as far set back from the street frontages as possible, with the intent of not being visible from the street. Next, please. Here's the floor plan for the proposed addition. It's a master suite. Simple bedroom, closet, bathroom that would open with some sliding doors into the rear yard. Next slide, please. And we're just zoomed in a little bit here, but we can go to the next one. The exterior elevations, we're proposing a board and batten siding. As Katie mentioned, we've talked about wood, but it may in fact entertain hardy board as we were discussing on the burn silver residence previously. And that's only because hardy board's so much more durable and low maintenance than wood, especially in the desert here in Arizona. It also would be termite and rot resistant. We do have termite problems in the neighborhood, so not using wood as an exterior siding would be advisable, in my opinion. We can go to the next slide. And here's just kind of an updated rendering showing potential board and batten layout for that exterior siding. The color has not been set in stone. What I'm doing here in these views is just trying to match the existing gray color of the house, but the owner has mentioned possibly wanting to repaint the house at some point. So color, I would say, is TBD, but we're trying to lock in a exterior finish material. Next slide. We've also entertained the possibility of doing a shiplap siding as well. That would be, again, either wood or hardy board. But either way, we've sort of not locked that in at this point. Next slide. And here's just some examples of hardy board in both of those configurations, both a board and batten on the left and a shiplap siding in the center. You can see the hardy board really just, it looks like wood once painted. I mean, the only difference is it's much more durable in the long run. And then on the right here, just some examples of how the shiplap and hardy board are used elsewhere in the neighborhood. Next slide. And that's it. That's all I have. I'm happy to entertain any questions. Thanks for listening.
Commissioner Brousseau, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, guys, wow, again, really great job. Love to see this stuff. This ephemera that you pulled is incredible. I've never seen anything like this. This last one that you've got is great. Well done, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Well, I can, like the last applicant, I applaud you guys for just embracing the historic nature and having fun with it and improving your properties, because it certainly helps the whole neighborhood and the community. I'm really not a fan of the hardy board, and because it comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes, if we approve this, it's like anything could be put up, T111 or just a cementitious. It looks sort of like stucco. And I think we need to start nailing these things down to something that looks like it was from the era. And I'm opening this up to the rest of the commissioners to discuss. In my opinion, I think the board and batten would be a lot more critical to try to replace or to build the siding with, rather than leave it as a hardy board to be determined what the shape and size is. I think the elevation showing the horizontal shiplap in the hardy board matching the 4-inch masonry, the 8-4-16 masonry look fine. But I don't think we can just leave this wide open, and I'd like to get some discussion back and forth with the rest of the members. Thank you.
Commissioner Brousseau.
Hi, it's Commissioner Brousseau. Peter, this is really kind of more a discussion here. I'm just going to take a little divergence here and move off subject a little. In this slide here that the architect and the team here has presented to us, am I seeing stones on a roof? Is this an application of, did they actually do that there? Do we know? Where they finished the roof in white and then they put large rocks on it?
Yeah, so this is Jeff again, Ben. Yeah, there actually is still, I believe, at least one in the neighborhood that has that roof application.
Interesting. That is so wild. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost looks like it's great. Thank you.
Then in low sloping roofs, it's typical for that kind of roof to be ballasted. And that was primarily all over Scottsdale for that same type of roof. It was usually a white rock.
Interesting. Thank you.
I could weigh in on the hardy board if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, if we could just go back a slide to the example page. I hear the concerns about just leaving it too broad, and definitely that's not our intent. I'm looking to, as the architect and owner in this historic neighborhood, do something very in keeping with the historic style. And if board and batten is preferred over shiplap, you know, I don't know that we have a strong opinion either way at this point, but what I'm showing on the left and the middle, which are actual hardy board, is not wood in those images. Those would be probably as close to what we're trying to achieve as I could point out, I think. And we can definitely lock that down if it makes everyone more comfortable.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Jeff, I appreciate your comments. I think with any new construction, whenever you break ground, you should do termite control, as you know, anytime you disturb the soil. And of course, every home needs to be treated, even after many, many years after the place has been built. So I think there's proper ways of using home maintenance to do wood on a house. Where I think we run into problems is when people try to do exposed raw timbers and they don't put finishes on it, and they rot and gray and look terrible over time. They crack. So I certainly think that with the right kind of finish on a board and batten, it would last as long as it's maintained. And I certainly think that's my preference. But not hearing much discussion from the rest of the commissioners, I would like to limit the hardy board to be matching, if anything, go with the board and batten, or use the horizontal banding that matches the 8-4-16 masonry. Mm-hmm. So if the hardy board comes in 3.5 inches or 6 inches, that doesn't work. It would have to match, even if it had to be custom cut, to align with the 8-4-16 masonry. And I think with either of those two solutions, I think you get a good result.
Right.
And again, I'm looking for comments from the rest of the members. Thank you.
Commissioner Fedock.
Thank you. I agree with Commissioner Hosmer that it should be outlined as a stipulation what the appearance will be and how exactly it will be applied to keep in consistent with the integrity of the neighborhood and the original construction.
We are calling out board and batten in the design drawings. We are just for this presentation, I've left it a little bit broader so that we could have a conversation about it, because it seemed like a sticking point in the pre-application submittal. So I'm happy to just go ahead with what we have shown, board and batten, if that clears things up for everyone.
This is Vice Chair Davis. I agree with Commissioner Hosmer that it should be stipulated. And with that, I will entertain a motion. Commissioner Hosmer.
Thank you. Then I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve 41 HP 2021 for the approval of certificate of appropriateness based on the stipulation that board and batten would be used as the finished material where discussed. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Edmonds. I second that.
Roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Brousseau,
Yes.
Commissioner Edmonds,
Yes.
Commissioner Fadoc,
Yes.
Commissioner Hosmer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, regular agenda item number 5, discussion on publicity plan pamphlet for the historic property overlay.
Vice Chair Davis, Commissioner Hosmer requested this agenda item, so I'll let him discuss.
My thinking on here was that we need to do an outreach to the community, find a way, and Ben, you're good with this stuff. How do we produce materials that would sell the need for people to either maintain a historic home or district or convert to a historic district? And I think because of the stuff that you're involved with, the real estate, maybe we do some kind of small brochure, maybe a trifold thing with some written material that describes the value of Scottsdale, the value of historic. And that was kind of my thinking, that we can't just sit back and hope that people on their own say, we live in a unique area, let's designate it historic. They don't even think about unifying for this. And I think we need an outreach somehow. And maybe this is done on social media, maybe it's done somewhere else or a different venue, but I just wanted to bring this to the table so we could talk about what we thought we could do to keep exciting people about preservation.
Well, I'm glad that you bring this up. Are we just open discussion here, or are we raising hands? Sorry.
We can have an open discussion, that's fine.
Okay, cool. So Peter, so like right when COVID started last April, it was like supposed to happen in April. We were supposed to, I was meeting with Kelly at the city of Scottsdale. We were going into the video department, and the whole thing got completely shelved. So I'm going to pick that part back up and see to it that we can get some of these videos posted on Scottsdale's channel, their YouTube channel. They've got some really great video running right now. Just really some very cool exclusive Scottsdale type content that's running on the website. So we should be able to do some stuff for historic preservation, and we've got that stuff built in. So as far as the brochure is concerned, I'd like to recommend we just jump on Canva, and there may be some open meeting law conflicts there, but basically whoever would want to be like a contributor to the design of this brochure, let's just keep it a trifold brochure. Well, staff could have access to it. They could drop in the photos. Peter, you could go in and write copy. It's real easy. Melissa could go in and like do her portion, and we all share access to the one file, and then that's just basically approved by us all then, and like in the next commission meeting. I could set that up. It's a free program. Everybody should know how to use Canva. It is so incredible. You can do everything from business cards to stationery to, you name it, anything that you want to create. So I'll get that set up right now after this meeting, just so that's kind of one of the things that we got to get going on for sure. I think a brochure is great. We've got a lot of great locations that they can get distributed through. Social media is going to have to happen on its own organically. Maybe we can come up with a great hashtag that ties in photos or something of a historic site or a historic home, or maybe we send people out on a mission to scout for their own historic mid-century modern, whatever, and they take a photograph and they share a tag, something like that, or a hashtag. But that has to happen on its own. Like, we can't force anything there, right? I think we just have to come up with some really good creative, one really good marketing piece, I think would be really smart. And then I think all the rest will happen on its own.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could, Canva or whatever that is, if you could, I don't know how we get that distributed to the other members, the information about it, but if we could find a way to get that information out so we could sort of download or dump information.
You know what I'll do? Maybe Karen, I'll make you an admin on the design, and then you can disseminate, I guess, from there and figure out how you guys want to do it. It's very, very easy. It's just like sharing a Google Doc, You just send it to somebody's email address and they get access to it, and it's very simple.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things that inspired me to want to do this, or at least get this discussed, was that I've seen so many other unique areas around Scottsdale that look like they're going to be pieces of history if we don't.
I know.
protect and save them.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. You know, and we don't, it's a lot of the incentives are gone now for multifamily, and, you know, maybe they weren't even there to begin with, but officially now there's just, it's challenging, but, you know, we've got some stuff coming up on the calendar that is so exciting and so cool. Most people are doing this, you know, despite the incentives, you know, they're doing it because it's something that's important that, you know, we do.
So maybe at some point we take it a little further and we can assign each member a task of some sort or a contribution.
Totally. Absolutely.
Just so we're actually moving on it and having discussions, and we can start real small so it's not too uncomfortable, but I think it would be nice to show that we're not only on the commission, but we're really behind this and promoting it.
Maybe you want to think of a little forward. That's going to be the most important thing that we have for this. You know, come up with a couple of paragraphs about, you know, what we stand for, Peter, and that would be probably the best contribution. And then I know Melissa's got some great ideas for design and stuff like that. So it'll all kind of come together once we get into the template, and you'll find that that using this program, a lot of times you know that you have to do something. So working in that medium brings new ideas. It's pretty incredible the way it works. So and I think you'll like it a lot too. So
I tried to wordsmith something a long time ago, back when we were doing a lot of Villa Monterey stuff, because I felt like there were a lot of people that didn't really understand the significance of Villa Monterey. They just liked living there. And I tried to wordsmith something because I wanted to present it during one of the hearings, and I just didn't feel like it was giving the zing that I wanted it to have. So maybe I can try to do some wordsmithing and figure something out.
Yeah, well, I'll take a look at it too. I could help you with any copy editing. I'm happy to help you with, or wherever you're falling short on this, just let me know. I'll jump in. Okay. No problemo. Christy's not on the call, but Melissa, what do you think about this? What do you think we should do? Should it be like a trifold brochure, or should it be a one-sided? Or
I mean, I think a trifold would be good because we can get more information in there. And I think something that's accessible online, only because so many people are still so socially distanced, that it'd be nice to have a digital presence as well with it.
Totally. Yeah. What if we, instead of trying to fit, maybe we come up with like 3 or 4 different versions of this. So the first, you know, we print 1,000 of the first copy, and that might be Peter and Melissa, you know, and their photos and what they have to say about it. And then, you know, there could be 2 other hosts for the next sort of like, you know, fall brochure. It could be a little bit more fluid and organic. If we do that the right way, Melissa's right. You can get a lot of information on, you know, a 3-panel brochure. You could also turn it into a really nice digital piece as well. So, and that would cost nothing. And that's where you get the social media stuff. So, yeah.
Is Doris McClay still in the room?
I'm sorry?
Yes, Commissioner Hosmer, I am. I would suggest that we put this on the agenda for the June, and we can follow up with it. We have to just be careful of the open meeting law and quorum issues when you're doing something together. So, but we can, you know, start discussing this more and put it on the agenda in June.
Okay. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, if we wanted to form a subcommittee, what are the rules and regulations for the subcommittee?
Okay, and I can check into that and let you know on that.
You know, thinking that if I wanted to get together with Ben and Melissa and have discussions or swap photographs of historic, you know, how do we do this without violating any of the regulations.
Okay, and it might be that city council can be the only one that can do subcommittees.
Okay,
So, but there may be a way that you can do it, but you're not a quorum.
right.
So, but also we could bring things to the meetings and discuss what we have, and then maybe have task at the meeting.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. And then at the city's website, if we had a nice presentation on the website, if somebody just happened to be browsing on the Scottsdale site and said, oh, look at this.
Yes, Commissioner Hosmer, then we could, when you're finished with the document, we could put it on the city's website for the historic resources page.
Okay.
Well, and something else I know we had discussed, and I can't remember where we left it, was, sometimes with the water utility bill, you get the little City of Scottsdale announcements. If we would be able to put a prompt in there that led people to that digital file regarding, so they could find out more information about it, like a prompt or a teaser.
Vice Chair Davis and Commissioner Fedock, I can check into that and see if we can get anything in the next water bill, or when that is.
I think when we had something ready, I think that might be, kind of a cool way to get it out to people who may not typically peruse the website, but open their water bill. Like, it might be just a further reach if it's, a possibility.
Doris, is there also a plan to have the next commission meeting live, or in person?
There's still ongoing discussions on that, and some boards are meeting, but the public's still not allowed to attend. And that's why we sent out a survey to see what everybody's comfort zone is. So we can see what we're going to do in June.
And since we're talking about June, July was, I think we've usually skipped July year after year, if I remember correctly. Is that true? Am I accurate?
This is Vice Chair Davis. That's the next agenda item, but I believe you are correct.
Okay. Oh, that's right. We haven't finished that either.
Well, I love this idea of having some sort of publicity pamphlet and getting it out to, maybe through the water bill, getting it out there. It's great ideas. And I love you guys' enthusiasm. Does anybody else have any more comments or questions? Okay, we'll move on to regular agenda item 6, Historic Preservation Commission hearing date for July.
Vice Chair Davis, this is Doris McClay. So they're on the hearing schedule for 2021. There was a July 1st scheduled meeting. City Council will be meeting that night. So I wanted to see if the commission wanted to reschedule that to July 8th, or we could cancel it if that's what the commission wanted to do.
So if we don't have a heavy agenda of anything real pressing, because a lot of people are typically out of town over 4th of July, I'd be okay with skipping the July and moving to August.
I would be fine with that as well. I will not be in town on July 8th.
I agree. I would be fine with that as well.
So Vice Chair Davis, so you would like us to cancel the July meeting?
Yes, do we need to take a roll call vote for that?
Yes, I think you should do a motion and a second.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
This is Peter Hoffmer. I'll make a motion that we postpone or cancel the July meeting 2021 and meet again in August.
Commissioner Fedok,
I second the motion.
roll call vote.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Brousseau,
Yes.
Commissioner Edmonds, Commissioner Edmonds, Commissioner Edmonds,
Yes.
Thank
Sorry, my internet kicked out.
Commissioner Fedok,
Yes.
and Commissioner Hosmer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next is the commissioner's announcement. Do we have any? Commissioner Brousseau?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure whether or not Karen was able to pull that video up from YouTube that I sent over, the Scottsdale Public Library Books to Go.
Commissioner Brousseau, no, I was not. I was already set up and we can do it for next meeting.
Yeah, awesome, super. Just it's going to be in the works for next meeting, so we probably want to we'll have to updates then. But so after several years of working with the City of Scottsdale public libraries, I'm happy to announce that we're going to have a mid-century modern books to go little library at 70th Street and Goldwater, in front of the unofficial entry to the Scottsdale Garden Department District, right in front of the R3 Reduce, Reuse, Recycle mural. And that's going to be put in on public land, on city land, right where the bike path goes, right along Goldwater. So we're super excited to be getting started on this. We've got a great designer putting it together. And that's my announcement. Thanks.
That is so cool, Ben. Well done.
Thank you.
Yes, I second that.
So Doris, if you wouldn't mind just getting back to us about how we can meet for further discussions on the pamphlet, so we're able to exchange back and forth any ideas legally.
Vice Chair and Commissioner Hosmer, yes, I will get back to you on that.
Very much.
Commissioner Brousseau? Your hand is raised.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
I have to like double click it. Sorry, you guys.
Okay, now moving on to future agenda items. Does anyone have additional ones other than those that have been discussed? Seeing none, I guess we will adjourn the meeting. It's 7:19 p.m. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Night, everyone.